Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily this beautiful Friday morning. I'm Kayla Megwa.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Good morning and welcome. One thing you have to know, first of all, is that this is Lagos and we are talking about something in the region of 33 degrees right now in the city. What's it like there in Abuja?
It's an opportunity for people to hydrate. This is hydrate season. Humidity today is about 77%. So yeah, hydrate. Make sure that you feel a little comfortable with whatever. Yes, just like you're doing right there. Have some water with you. Make sure that you feel comfortable. And do not get yourself in situations where you have a heat stroke or something, you know. So yeah, it's pretty hot right here in the nation's capital. But I can tell you, we are going this morning to a place that is even hotter. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Kebbi State. Indeed, this particular area, Ayo has been promising that we will go. He hasn't kept his word, but we are hoping that he will keep his word at some point. Ayo, what are your thoughts? This is Gungun Nabame. Yes, that is Kebbi. However, we are at the Emir's Palace in Arugungu, Kebbi State, and he's historically known as Gidan Nabame. What are your thoughts, Ayo?
Well, the fact that it is historical is definitely something for me. And I'm glad. You know what I would really love, Kayla? I would love for every state government to seize this opportunity. This is at the initiative of Channels Television. And whenever we have the opportunity, we have business in whichever area, we find ourselves there and we take some of these initiatives. We pull attention of the world to these milestones, these monuments that we have spread all over the country. It'll be a good thing, Kayla, for every state, Adamawa State, Kebbi State, you name the state in this country, all 36 of them, including the FCT, to look out at their monumental establishments, their museums and stuff that are historical landmarks for them, and put them in the world. We are here, we are available to put these things out for you, because history is who we are and what we are, and it's an important part of our lives. This, for instance, I don't know how many people know the backstory to this Emir's Palace, which is actually, what some will call the Kanta Museum and all of that. So many stories spread all over this country, Kayla. Can we curate all of them? Maybe because of, take this in for a minute.
It's beautiful to look at, and such a historic town. So the architectural significance of this place, it shows the traditional house architecture. There are thick mud walls, intricate designs that reflect the historical aesthetics of the region, and this is Kebbi. If you're from Kebbi State, you probably understand where all of this history is coming from. From the 18th century, we've been documenting things that happen in Kebbi. A lot of those things documented and kept in that museum that you talked about. Now, the museum actually houses this extensive collection of historical items: spears, swords, charms, yes, charms, drums, weapons, the traditional weapons of the Kebbi people. And it also gives us an insight into the martial and the cultural practices of the people of Kebbi State. Gidan Nabame is the final resting place for all past emirs of Arugungu. It's a tradition. Any emir who passes away, regardless of where they die, is brought back to be buried right there. It's a lovely piece of history. And Ayo, you're absolutely correct. It's one that we should actually start to curate. Sometimes I wonder how much of our history is out there at people's fingertips. Now, I'm not saying that our history is not documented. If you search, you will find a lot of documented history about Nigeria. But how much of it is at the fingertips of the younger generation? So that they remember where they're from. I know that we are inundated with all kinds of issues, but the history of who we are being at the fingertips and on the lips of our younger generation is something that I think should be done on purpose, making sure that young people understand where they're from, understand that we are not just this anyhow country. All right, we're not just this nation where anything happens, even though sometimes it does feel like anything can happen.
Absolutely.
But, you know, the history of our people, if the NOA can do something about it, the state governors can be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more on purpose with this, putting out that information, inundating Nigeria's youth with information about their history, so they have it at their fingertips and know exactly where they're coming from and where they are headed, Ayo.
Perhaps one of those issues that we're inundated with, Kayla, is what is happening in Abuja. We understand that just yesterday, the nurses and midwives and even some teachers, we understand, that they took to the streets protesting the non-implementation of the national minimum wage and arrears of allowance running into 2 years, Kayla.
Indeed, we covered this story yesterday of this protest that was happening right here in the nation's capital. But just take a look at it and let's hear what the protesters had to say and the response that they got from the FCT administration.
We are here because the law has been passed in the country that the minimum pay, minimum wage for every worker, both in health sector and every sector, that is 70,000 naira. Everywhere people have implemented paid areas, but the area council chairman in FCT decided not to pay the workers their entitlement. Despite the minister has intervened by releasing over 4.1 billion naira, they refused and diverted the money. That is why we are here. We are here also because nurses, health workers put their life during the COVID period. They put their life at this thing, yet their hazard allowances has not been paid. Nurses are particularly entitled to uniform allowances, but yet uniform allowances have not been paid. The area council chairman have decided not to listen to anybody.
That's just one of them. Well, incidentally, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has reacted to this protest, and he says he's on top of the situation and he's doing something about it. Take a listen to him.
It's unfortunate, but we have to tell ourselves the simple truth. The area council chairman, after I have approved money to be sent to them for them to be able to pay the teachers, we were unable to do that. In fact, I got a report yesterday, and I'm able to summon all of them. You know, you see, that's the problem we have in this country. By the time you apply the big stick now, people will be saying all kinds of things. I don't know why people don't have conscience that these are teachers who take care of our children, and you are happy that you are not paying them their salary. This is primary school teachers, those are the school teachers. You know the responsibility of the councils. They are in charge of the primary schools. So I've summoned them to a meeting, also continue to appeal to NUG to give you some time that this thing will be sorted out.
Well, you see that the minister was inspecting ongoing projects in the nation's capital when he had to respond to that one. What's interesting about this is that about 2 weeks ago it was reported that the national president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees said about 20 states have yet to implement the 70,000 naira new minimum wage for local government workers and primary school teachers. We also understand that you know, and a number of states have been mentioned. How many of them? I mean, this is just about 2 weeks ago, and we're talking about this same month of April. So I'm wondering how inundated can one be to not know that the people who make your work show particularly at the local government levels, are the ones that are suffering. Kayla, I'm wondering, having passed that judgment, and all kinds of things have been said about the need for implementation of the local government direct remittance of their monies to them. I'm wondering, why is it still difficult? The minister says he's approved their money to be given to them. Does that mean that they're not getting it directly? I really don't want to understand what is happening. I want to understand what is happening, but I really don't care what the process is. These people need to get paid. What do you think, Kayla?
It's one of the most disappointing stories, really, since that judgment by the Supreme Court that gave local government autonomy. This is an autonomy that we've been asking for, and the reason why we've been looking for local government autonomy, Ayo, is because of situations like this. We figured if they're able to handle finances at local levels, then we won't have situations where teachers, nurses, local government workers are going without salaries. We've always talked about how security is a problem that starts at the local levels. These are the things that devolve. These are the seeds that are sown. When we have people at local government levels who are unable to feed themselves, unable to take care of themselves, what are you going to tell them when someone comes knocking with the option of crime and criminality? These are the issues. And it's listening to the FCT minister, you can hear a lot of regret in his voice, and he was there with his son. I think it was his son that was standing right next to him at that project inspection. He said, it's a disappointing situation. 20 states, all right? This is happening in the FCT. But we're hearing, like you said, Ayo, 20 states still unable to meet up with local government payments. And having teachers and local government workers like this, what you're doing is that you're impoverishing those families. And when crime and criminality comes, it will be difficult for them to say no. People are committing crime, Ayo, so that they can eat. People are getting into all kinds of nonsense just so they can be able to feed themselves and their families. These are the seeds that generate into the instability that we have at the local government levels, and it's pretty disappointing. I do hope, really, that whatever these bottlenecks are, whether it is the account number, whether it is the person doing the money, you said earlier, by mistake, you said you didn't want, I don't want to know, Ayo. I don't want to know what the bottlenecks are. Get it done, fix this, and let's keep our country moving.
One of the things that I also heard about this particular issue is that some governors, we hear from some sources that some state governments, some local government administrations all over the nation have been told or instructed by their governors that they should not open any account with the CBN through which they will get paid. But again, the details do not matter as much as the lives and livelihoods of people getting better. We'll take a short break. When we return, we get into the nitty-gritty of our conversation today. Do stay with us.
It's very sad and unfortunate, because to me, if there's any state that should think that way, not Delta, because the party is very magnanimous. I thank God that in their message, they didn't say that the party did anything wrong to them, other than good. It's a decision taken by them, but the pains will be in us. Not because of anything, but because we felt we have given all responsible support that we are supposed to give to Delta State, from the emergence of the governor to his predecessor, who also doubled as our vice presidential candidate. I think we have done it all for them in Delta, and we least expected this action from them. And I want to use this opportunity to say we'll take over our structures immediately by setting up a caretaker. We are still taking stocks, and we will do that immediately. This election in 2027 is not about how many governors you have or how many leaders you have. is Tinubu and Nigerians.
To tell anybody that there is chaos in the PDP and that PDP has gone into extinction. Nobody needs to tell you. Even my brother here is telling you that he's hopeless about his party. Yes.
Is that true?
He cannot explain
of an extinct party.
Absolutely, because he cannot explain what is happening in his own state.
You know one thing about success and victory, it gives you this larger than APC was not existing before. And there was a time that almost every governor moved to PDP. So one thing you must realize about life is that it's a season. I kept telling people, that's why I don't believe in jumping parties. Because if people could stay back in opposition and build an APC, and we are just out for 90 years.
Honorable.
Because you find, hold on, you say a party in the extinction. In a party in the extinction, that still have members of national assemblies, they have senate, they have governors, you have 13 governors who won't move. Let's even assume 5 move. At a point, how many states you combine together? APC, ACN, APP, and what have you, ABGA. All together, you had about 6 governors. And you could still come together, form a party. And you're talking about a party that's about 12 governors.
Honorable, stop calling 12 governors. Hold on. Stop calling 12 governors, because one is already out yesterday. And Akwa Ibom has already said he's voting for the presidential candidate of the APC. Yeah. You're not sure of Oshun.
Yes.
You're not sure of
I'm not sure of anybody.
You're not even
because I'm not in the mind of everybody.
You can't hit your chest. You can't hit your chest as a PDP member today to be sure of 5 governors that will come with you.
And so it begins as we prepare for 2027, a gale of mass defections to the All Progressives Congress. Are you shocked? I'm not. Many people are not. But let's find out what our guests have to say about it today. Joining us this morning, we have a PDP stakeholder in the building, Mr. Oladimeji Fabi. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here again.
And columnist Majid Dahiru, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to start off with our stakeholder from the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Fabi. The narrative about your party doesn't look good.
At all.
And you can see the national chairman of your party also admitting this is not Delta, at least, because it has historically been a PDP state. It does point, and of course, the defection of Mr. Okowa. Many people may have looked at the governor and thought, okay, well, this happens, you know, if you're trying to think about your political future, you better join where you think you can win. But Ifeanyi Okowa and Delta State, what's happening with your party? Is it really falling apart?
Well, thank you very much. Quite unfortunately, the party actually zoned itself to where it is today, and it's quite, like I said, unfortunate. The issue of defection, for me, is not a breaking news. It's not something new, because it's been there, it's been out there. There's been body languages, there's been moves and all that. We knew it was going to come, but initially we were told a number of them would defect sometimes August, September. And one wonders why they have to bring it back. And but that's all politics. But for me, it's quite sad that the PDP, with all it has become, you know, with all it has done, you know, has found itself in this quagmire.
You started this conversation by saying they zoned themselves to where
the PDP zoned itself to where it was.
What does that mean?
Because any organization must, you have leadership, and the leadership must be awake to their responsibilities. We found, unfortunately, the leadership of the PDP are found wanting, you know, in this regard. They are unable to put the party, you know, in the right channel, in the right path that would even advance the cause of the country.
When you say the leadership, who are you referring to?
There are leadership in the party. We have organs of the party.
The national chairman?
The National Working Committee.
National Working Committee of the
we
party.
have the NEC, you know, that NWC is just to you know, to manage the party day-to-day activity of the party, raise proposals.
So you're saying they're not putting the party first?
Unfortunately, the NWC under Damagun has not done well. In barely 16 months, they've collapsed the party. I am not happy about it because I was there right from the inception. I knew how the party was being managed. So they may not like it, but it's the truth because I'm a member of the party. For me, I think it's quite sad because they should have been alive to their responsibilities. They shouldn't have allowed, because you are there in trust, in confidence, you know, for the people. But they failed in all that. There are crises. A lot of people try to blame. I have to digress a bit. A lot of people try. So when I hear people blaming Atiku Abubakar, I don't join them. Not because I'm close to Atiku, but the thing is, we have an organization. We have a party that has a number of people, numbers of organs that are saddled with one responsibility or the other. So if you expect Atiku to now say, to take the position of those people that are saddled with the mandate to run the party, then you are not being fair to Atiku. So each time you talk, he said, we have people we put in place.
Well, you have to understand, Mr. Fabi, many people believe that since that zoning was done, when the presidency was given to, when the presidential ticket to run for president of the PDP was given to Atiku, that was where the downfall started.
That was not where the downfall started.
No, that's what a lot of the stakeholders in your party said. That's what Mr. Wike said.
That is Mr. Wike.
Yes,
that is
but
not too many
believe
Nigerians.
That was the linchpin. That was the point.
It was not. It was not. The party had been having its challenges even before 2023. We had challenges. The party had serious challenge in 2015. It has in 2019. So this 2023, you couldn't have said it's because of zoning. As far as I'm concerned, it's not about zoning. There are other hidden issues. Some people just come around zoning and say...
What are these hidden issues?
Okay, the issues have been that, number one is about interest.
Whose interest?
Individual interest now, that's exactly what I'm saying. Interest can conflict, and that is what you see reflecting in the PDP.
I'll come back to you on this one, because we really need to, if you say we have to say the truth.
That is the truth.
So let us start saying the truth.
So we're saying it now, yes.
I'm going to come to Mr. Dahiru. He's been laughing and biting his lips since this conversation started. Talk to us a little bit about this situation. We heard the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, saying, oh, we will reposition, we will fix this. Is it fixable before 2027 at least?
Well, let me start by sympathizing with my brother, my good friend and brother here, for what's happening in the PDP. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I've stated it, you know, quite clearly in many other platforms, the wages of sin is death. And the PDP is right now on the throes of death because it committed a mortal sin in 2023. And that sin was not zoning its presidential candidacy to the South. I had warned that the wind of presidency in 2023 was blowing south. And if the PDP feeds another candidate, it means it to be sailing against the wind. And if you do that, you are likely to risk your boat capsizing and sinking into oblivion. And that seems to be what's happening in PDP. The gale of defecation we are seeing is just a symptom of a deeper ailment. You see, when the PDP violated the zoning arrangement, it created a problem for the PDP because the PDP's strongest support base, the most consistent support base for the PDP has been the southern half of Nigeria. The southeast, the south-south, and of course, the areas in the north you call the middle belt. They've been the most consistent support base of the PDP. And so when this group came out to say, look, we want the presidency in 2023, and the APC too bowed to that pressure. You could see the concerted effort within the APC to shift power to the south. It reflected in the primary election, where the winner, the first runner-ups, and the second runner-up all came from the southern half of the country. So it showed you the effort that was also put in that party. But the PDP said it wanted to win an election. It wanted to take advantage of the electoral fortune of the North, which happens to be the largest voting demography in Nigeria. And we had wanted to say, look, PDP's priority for 2023 shouldn't be winning an election, but simply consolidating into the post-Buhari era. Because Buhari, as the sitting president, will work for his party to win one way or the other. So when PDP violated that zoning formula, it betrayed his most consistent support base, which is the South.
Safabi
and with the emergence of a Southern president in the person of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, what you see happening now was what happened in 2003, when the southern part of the country is now coalescing around one of their own. And you know why this is important for us to understand? The 8-year rule of President Muhammadu Buhari was the most divisive in the history of Nigeria, the most sectional. Buhari instituted Arewa privilege in Nigeria that needed to be checked by power shift to the south. This was where the PDP didn't quite get it right. It was like a matter of do or die affair.
I mean, I think you're making reference to that article that you wrote.
I wrote that article way before the primaries.
Okay.
And everything that was projected in that article is happening
What's
now.
happening now? Mr. Fabi, I want to get to you. You heard him. We didn't have a conversation before this interview, but he's basically saying what we've heard a lot of other people saying. Some people believe that the problem inside the PDP is the fact that many people like you, Mr. Fabi, have refused to own up to the fact that you made that mistake in the 2023 elections. That zoning problem was the reason why you had such a paradigm shift, and the party hasn't been able to recover from that. Now we're hearing the former Senate President Bukola Saraki saying, look, we're going to reposition, we're going to get this right. And he says, look, those that don't want to be in the party, they should go, so that we who want to be here can actually get that right. If Atiku decides to run again in 2027, isn't that the final nail on the coffin of the PDP? At least that's what a lot of people are saying.
I don't think so. And again, I like to say that I didn't quite agree with my brother that zoning was the problem. Zoning wasn't the problem. Those who started making noise about this zoning, especially in the PDP, has reason for making the noise. And this started when someone who had expected to be vice presidential candidate couldn't get it. Then they turned around and started saying zoning, 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 zoning. Perhaps if that person has been picked, everybody knows what I'm talking about, all of this wouldn't have gotten any traction. Just hold on, please.
There was a win.
Just hold on.
Let's focus right
just hold
now.
on. You didn't,
there was a win.
You want to make me lose my thoughts. I don't want to make you lose my thoughts. I want to enjoy that.
Just give me a minute.
If you keep interjecting.
There was a zone. There was a movement in and that's what Mr. Dairy is saying there. There was a movement to the south when it comes to the presidency. Come 2023.
What movement?
The PDP not playing to that.
Just hold on. What movement to the south? PDP set up zoning committee. And the zoning committee came out and said it's left open for everybody. Now, southerner, northerner. So Atiku contested, other southerner contested, and Atiku won the primaries. So what are we saying? So if the PDP, and again, there's something that people are not looking at. See, the onus of zoning presidency to either south or north was on APC at that time. The last president that PDP has, to the best of my knowledge, was a southerner. So at that time, APC was in government, and they have a northern person in the presidency. So it's not for a party that is in position to start talking about zoning. It's not done anywhere. It is the onus is on APC to do, and this is exactly what we are saying. Not PDP. PDP cannot act on the dictate of the APC. APC was the ruling government. And whether they like it or not, they must go to the south. PDP does not have that because they're in the opposition. What you need to do is things that will make you win an election. And we saw the outcome of the election. So it wasn't about, if Peter Obi had not run, would Tinubu in power today? If Peter Obi had not run, will Tinubu in power today? So let us get these things right. It's not about zoning. There are other inherent issues that we all know, and everybody knows. I don't need to start repeating them here now. So PDP has, and even 2027, PDP still feels that they still want to go to the north. It's their prerogative.
But will he give you victory?
It doesn't. Just wait and let's see what happens at that.
That was the same mindset that was used in 2023. Don't worry. Watch this. Watch us do this. Meanwhile, look at where we are now. Now you've lost another governor, and we're here now. The APC is gloating. They're telling you, "Oh, don't worry, more are coming."
Many of them are going. We know they are. We let them go. Bukola just spoke yesterday. Anybody who wants to leave should leave. Then let's see what is left of the party, and let's see what we can make do with it. Even though what he said is, as far as I'm concerned, is coming, Bukola should have done this earlier as a stakeholder, as a principal stakeholder in the party, should have done this earlier when the whole thing was brewing. But it's still okay that he has said it. And I want all other stakeholders of the party to come out and say, speak your mind. Let us know where you belong. Don't be on the fence. A lot of them have sat too long on the fence, and that's what has brought this party to where it is now.
All right, let me take you to Lagos, because I'm sure Ayo has a few questions for both of you. Ayo.
So much, Kayla. Well, Mr. Dahiro, I'm going to come to you. There is a sense you're trying to make. But first of all, let's clear, this. I could almost call you Prophet Dahiro right now, because just as you said, a good number of the issues you raised 2-3 years ago now, they're happening almost like it's a Nostradamus that wrote that article 3 years ago. So tell us what informed that position that you took at the time, that made you pen those thoughts, Mr. Dahiro.
I simply paid attention to the mood in the country. And again, the Buhari administration for 8 years created such a division in the country. Such levels of sectionalism as never seen before. He instituted Arewa privilege, and Nigeria was already on the road to Sudan, and understood that the last-ditch effort that could save this country was going to be a power shift to the south. If you recall, sir, it was at the Asaba Declaration where the southern governors met for the first time in more than a decade to take a decisive decision on the issues of open grazing and herdsmen crisis that was ravaging across the country. That point also was added to the resolution that power should shift to the south by 2023, meaning there was a connection between Buhari's mismanagement of our diversity, our national security, on the basis of ethno-regional sentiments and favoritism, and a desire for power shift to the south. And that was why the younger elements of the APC from the north clearly saw that for the south to have come together, the southeast, the south-south, and the southwest, at a time that the separatist agitation was raging so much in the southeast that it had a landfall even in the southwest. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, we had a serious secessionist movement in the southwest that was championed by Sunday Igboho, arising from the same herdsmen crisis. So there was a link between national security, diversity mismanagement, and the need to salvage whatever was left of national unity of the Nigerian state for power to shift to the south. And that was why younger elements in the APC, the likes of Governor El-Rufai, the likes of Kashim Shettima, the likes of Masari and others, knew that the North, as at that time, was not ready to be divorced from his southern spouse that was a lady of means. And so they knew that it was important to save what was left of the Nigerian national unity to shift power to the south. And that's why they made the effort within their own party to make that effort. Now, the PDP, whose support base, interestingly, is in the south, failed to read the tea leaves properly and opted to take advantage of the northern demography and feed the northern candidates, which was opportunistic at the time. So I had also predicted that the PDP would lose in the north and lose in the south to the north preferred candidate from the south, who happened to be Ahmed Bola Tinubu. My brother here talked about P2B's foray into the election and how it also helped the emergence of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Yes, that was part of the southern agenda for power, which was legitimate because the presidency of Nigeria has rotated between north and south historically for as long as I can remember, even during the military era. There's always a balancing act because of the national unity that we all, work for since the end of the Civil War. But unfortunately, Atiku Abubakar came into the race. And there's a background to this, and I must establish the background. For me, Atiku's ambition actually killed the PDP. And Wike's anger, Wike's frustration, is conducting the final rite of passage for the PDP. Well, because the bigger problem for the PDP is not even the defecting governors. More governors will defect. The APC will overrun the southern half of Nigeria. You can see that in Anambra, for instance, the PDP didn't even have a contest for its ticket in Anambra State. It was not given to somebody.
Yeah,
so they will overrun the entire south.
Yeah.
Why the president will maintain his stronghold in his own support base in the north.
Yeah, I understand the point that you're making.
But for me, I want to land on something. You see, the biggest challenge for the PDP.
Yes. Go ahead and land.
The biggest challenge for the PDP is not even the defection of governors. Let me tell you the biggest challenge, and I must say it because my brother is here. He's a member of the PDP. The PDP violation of zoning created a problem, a Wike problem. And Wike is a member of the PDP. So what PDP should worry most about is Wike still remaining in that party. You see, there's a problem going on in the party now about the national secretary of the party. You know what that would result into? There might be a prolonged legal conundrum that might see the PDP not having a candidate or candidates across the board for the next election, or at best, having a very weak presidential candidate that cannot even raise a hat, where for Bola Tinubu of the APC is.
Well,
that is the real debt for the PDP.
Apparently, well, at least the PDP is also listening to you now, and I'm sure that Mr. Dimeji has responses to some of the issues that you have raised. But there are one or two other questions that I'd like to ask you when we return from this break. Just stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us. Well, Mr. Dimeji, the natural thing to do right now will be to ask you what your thoughts are on some of the issues that have been raised. Particularly, I'd like you to speak to this. The fact that unlike the opposition, the strong and virile opposition that the PDP had while it was in power, it would seem like the PDP has been quite a docile, though not the strongest, quite a docile, largely docile opposition party, because its own issues, internal issues, have bedeviled it, so to speak, so much that the opposition is not as virile as it ought to be, consequently almost giving the APC a walk in the park.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I'd like to say that Atiku is not the problem of the PDP and has never been the problem of the PDP. Rather, Atiku has done all it takes to make sure that the party succeeds and survives. So let me leave that. Then secondly is that I quite agree with the last part of the statement, of my brother about the current situation of this party, of the PDP. As we speak, I totally agree, because that has been my view. That as we speak now, where is PDP going? The way it is, in the history of PDP, in the last 1 or 2 years, we've had the highest number of court cases. We have the national secretary's issue that has not been settled as we speak. So I agree with him that if care is not taken, and I've said this on so many forums, that if care is not taken, PDP may not have a presidential candidate. Or at best, if they have, it will be a weak one. And I agree with him too, because for me, this is those who have created this problem for the party. This is exactly where they want the party to be, for the best reasons known to them. So as far as I know, it's going to be a long walk for the party. So, and if anybody likes, whether anybody likes it or not, this is my personal view. As PDP stands today, it can't single-handedly win an election. And that is why, in my own opinion, PDP should take the lead in rallying all other opposition if you truly want to defeat President Bola Tinubu. But if you don't do that, I'm sorry is the case.
All right. So let me come back to you, Mr. Dahiru. We do not have a law that mandates zoning. We actually do have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which says in Section 14, Sub 3, that the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria. And it also goes further to say that there shall be no dominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies, essentially saying there needs to be a balance. Do you think the political class understands this balance? And I'm talking across board now. Do you think there is a significant understanding of this balance? Because unless there is that understanding, we may be calling for an injection of the zoning formula into the Constitution. What are your thoughts?
I think they understand, because since 1999, the zoning formula has been largely complied with. So between 1999 and 2007, you had a Southern president. And when the president himself was living, Olusegun Obasanjo, he worked for a transfer of power to the north. And Umar Musa Yar'Adua emerged. And by 2010, unfortunately, we lost our president, may God rest his soul. And his deputy then, Goodluck Jonathan, assumed the mantle of leadership of Nigeria. And this is where I also must draw attention to how the PDP has severely and severally violated the zoning formula. Let me state it on record today too, that it was my opinion even then that President Goodluck Jonathan shouldn't have run in the 2011 election, because it was still the turn of the North. And there was such a commitment to that zoning that the then party chairman, Vincent Obulafo, who was from the southeast, made an open declaration that no Southerner should vie in the 2011 election because it was still the turn of the North. And guess what? The major beneficiary and the champion of the detention of zoning in 2011 was Atiku Abubakar, who ran against Jonathan. And that was the first time the PDP experienced a crack that would eventually lead to his defeat in 2015. People didn't pay attention. When Atiku ran against Jonathan, even though he lost, something phenomenal happened in that popular election that has happened in Nigeria before. When an incumbent president will run against a challenger and lose a number of states, Atiku won 5 states from the north: Bauchi, Kano, Niger, Sokoto, and Zamfara in that primary election. It was a statement of the anger, the frustration in the north against Jonathan's violation of the zoning formula in 2011. And when they couldn't get the ticket in PDP, the CPC was put together hurriedly, and the Muhammadu Buhari ran on the platform of CPC and garnered 12.5 million votes. And by 2015, Southern elements came together to say, yes, indeed, it's a return of the North. Again, to preserve our national unity, the Tidibus of this world, the Ametis of this world, and others came together and supported Buhari to become president, who was the choice of the North. In 2023, faithfully, the Northerners that benefited from that benevolence of their Southern compatriots decided to repay, and that's why Tinubu emerged first at the powers of the APC and became president today. But the PDP again, like he did in 2011 and 2015, decided to repeat the same mistake in 2023, when the same Atiku, who had protested against the violation of zoning by Goodluck Jonathan in 2011 and 2015, when he led 5 governors out of the PDP into the APC, decided to violate the zoning himself. So for me, he's the cause of this problem. And let me put it in context. In 2019, the PDP decided that the reasons they lost the 2015 election was because they violated zoning. And so they set up a committee that was chaired by Ekwerebadu, the former Deputy Senate President. And they reached an agreement that 2019 election should be an all-northern affair. And that was why no Southern appealed the presidential form in the PDP to contest the 2019 presidential election. And so somebody like Wike supported Tambua with all his might, while Peter Obi and his Southeast people supported Atiku to emerge. And that election, Atiku gave a very good performance. In fact, a lot of people still believe that Atiku won the election, but was rigged out. He came close. That was the kind of performance he put up. I had expected by 2023, Atiku Abubakar would have supported the Southerner, like a Peter Obi, who supported him in the previous election, while Tambua should have supported Wike. And let us see will emerge from the South among these two. But unfortunately, Atiku came into the ring to struggle with Peter Obi, Wike, and co. And Tambua ended up, you see, Tambua is a northerner, a Hausa-speaking northerner and a Muslim from the same north that Atiku, stepped down for Atiku against Wike, the lone Southerner in the race. If you were Wike, would you not feel betrayed after the support you gave to both of these candidates in 2019?
Okay.
Will you not feel bitter? Will you not do what he's doing now to
Mr. Dahiru, there are so many
if you are
issues to raise
who supported Atiku in 2019,
yes,
will you not revolt and do protest vote against him?
It's understandable, but at the end of the day,
yes.
So there's just a second, Mr. Dahiru, just a second, because I understand the passion and everyone is worried about just one thing. But there is a background to it all. And well, let me come to you, Mr. Fabi, just before Kayla takes over. In 2020, there was something Mr. Dahiru said that I'm hoping that we can just clear the air on that. In 2020, the vice president said that Nigeria's present cracks may lead to its breakup if we are not careful. And this was as far back as 2020. And it would seem like one way or the other we're repeating these mistakes. For you, Mr. Fabi, you have already made some comments and said, look, we need to make progress. Do you think we should legislate zoning?
Of course, as long as it's going to advance the cause of our democracy. I don't have any... as a matter of fact, it's because it's not legislated upon that we're having all of this. Because if the Constitution has made it abundantly clear that this has to be at so point it goes there, this at so point it comes there, then there wouldn't have been. That is the essence of laws. That's the essence of rules, you know, in our engagement. I don't have any problem with that, but I hope National Assembly will look at it and do, you know, the needful. Now, outside that, let me say that I totally disagree with my brother here. That Atiku is the problem of the party. Atiku has never been the problem of the party.
You're the only person that has been saying
I am not the only person. I am not. Just hold on.
Everyone is saying that Atiku is the problem.
Atiku is not the problem. Atiku cannot be. They should justify why Atiku is the problem. Number one, is his right. Listen.
It is his right.
Listen. So just hold on. Constitution gives him right to run.
Yes.
Number two, the party has rules and has organs that take decisions. He went into the contest. He didn't stop anybody from running, and the party voted him. So why should you put that on Atiku? This is the question. We have a party. Atiku did not go to the field and say, it must be me. He imposed himself on anybody. No, he went through democratic process that is laid down by the party. Then why are you putting the blame on Atiku? Why didn't they vote him out? Why didn't they vote him out? Anybody who is saying Atiku is the problem does not even understand the dynamics. We are an insider. I know more, even than my brother. What plays on in the party that we cannot be watching our dirty linen here?
What I know is that Prophet Dahiru, I have a few things I want to write down. You will help me to prophesy.
Atiku can never be the problem.
Because it's as though, I want you to know that as a prophet, you are appreciated in your own hometown. Don't allow these people to make you feel like you're not appreciated. You are appreciated. No, I have a list of things that I will give to you after the program. Then you now prophesy for me. Thank you. Because everything that he said is coming to pass. And you see, listen, I've heard you talk about the fact that, listen, there was a democratic process. They should have voted him out. They should have said, don't give him the ticket. Yes, these are things that should have happened. Yes. But you see, ultimately, there's something we say, reading the room, right? And we're not talking about the party. They're talking about the nation. So when you're looking at the dynamics, and that's where Mr. Dahiru is coming in from, when you're looking at the dynamics of the country politically, you can tell where the winds are moving. And then as a party, as a party, you take the hard decisions to position yourself to make the most of the winds of change. The accusation against Mr. Fabi, you in particular, and all those who are friends of Atiku Abubakar, is that you went ahead without reading the winds. And now you're now in a situation where Mr. Dahiru said you are going, this is the right of passage.
You are mixing two things together. You are mixing two things together. No, see, there's something you guys are not getting here.
Yes.
I will continue to tell you that you can't keep all of these blames on Atiku.
He's trying to do a coalition.
No, just hold on.
Give me a minute. He's trying to do a coalition right now.
Who is not doing a coalition?
No, the coalition now.
Is it Atiku coalition? It's coalition of Nigerians.
Yes, but what we've heard from the Governors Forum of the People's Democratic Party is we are not forming any coalition. Join us as a party. Let us win. We are not doing any coalition.
Have they taken the step to do that?
Already.
Listen. Have these same governors, have they taken any step to doing that? Did you hear them mandate from the Ibadan meeting? Don't let these guys put wood over our eyes. We're not stupid. All of us are in this country together and in this party. For all the communicate the issue, did you hear them mandated the national chairman and to go and set up a committee to engage all the opposition? Would you just say, come and meet us? Is that how it's done? Coalition, you have to engage. Deeply engage. You invite them. You invite all these opposition people. You meet them and talk about it. How did the APC come into being? Did Tinubu and all the rest sit in one place and say, come and meet us? Tinubu stepped out. Buhari stepped out. Everybody stepped out and they went to engage. Did they do that? This is height of hypocrisy on these governors, and I don't have respect for any one of them because they've not helped the party. They brought the party to where it is now.
You heard what he said.
Yes. They shouldn't come and tell us that.
Let me get your thoughts on this planned coalition. And we have heard the response from the PDP Governors Forum about this coalition. They don't want it. They say, look, come and join us. We are not joining you to win. Come and join the PDP.
That's because the PDP governors, their preferred candidate for the next election is President Bola Tinubu of the APC. Because of Southern solidarity. The bulk of the governors in the PDP are from the South. One of their own is in power. They can work against one of their own. It's not possible. In 2003, AD didn't feel the presidential candidate because of Obasanjo. That is the nature of Nigerian politics. When Adu also became president in 2007, a number of AMPP governors then moved into the PDP. So married the daughters. Two governors actually married his daughters. to have a good footing in the PDP. It has always been like that. Now, talking about the coalition, it is still too early to predict what the outcome of that coalition will be. But I can give them some tips.
Okay.
You see, El-Rufai has a grouse against the president, a legitimate grouse, because he worked for the president. Hate him or love him, he has something, he has a basis to be angry. And he has been working assiduously to undermine the president, particularly in the Muslim North, where he's like the Khalifa to Buhari. He's like the brain box of the Muslim North. But let me give him a tip. If he really wants to see the back of the president, let me tell you for what he will do. And I think they may be on the path to really achieving that. Let El-Rufai convince the Muslim North. If he's able to do that, I know he can, he has the capacity, to look towards the south for a candidate to support, specifically the southeast. If I let me put it straight, the day El-Rufai decides and is able to galvanize the opinion holders in the north to zero down on a P2B, for instance, as the candidate, that will be the end of the Tinubu administration.
All right. We do have a few messages, but I need you in 1 minute to sum up your views.
Yeah, so is it on this issue?
And your thoughts on what he just said?
Is it on this issue of coalition? Coalition is not just about one person. And I tell you, this coalition is not about El-Rufai, it's not about Peter Obi, it's not about Atiku or whoever. It's about Nigerians. Nigerians that are hungry, they are tired. It's like this guy said, it's going to be between Tinubu, APC government, and Nigerians. So the coalition is not about one person. There are quite a number of people, a lot of groups that are in this coalition. El-Rufai is just one component of it. We are all the people. So I just want to implore Nigerians, right? It is your choice. It is your choice. If you want to remain same of the same, no problem. But I see this coalition as a tool for rescuing and redeeming Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Oladimeji Fabi, PDP stakeholder, thank you so much for your views this morning.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Prophet Majid Dahiru. Please don't go, I have that list. Columnist, thank you so much for being with us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have quite a number of messages. Ayo, you're leading with that. What are the people saying?
Well, let me take this one. We haven't received a message from Elder Daria Adebanjo before, who says, what is happening to PDP now is self-inflicted. They are too proud and arrogant in their approach. Even when Wike was at the top of his voice, they felt they have the electorate in their pockets. So they are paying dearly. They haven't seen anything yet. Elder Daria Adebanjo.
Wow. Okay. Professor Imonoka Inakena says the PDP, Labour Party and NNPP suffer from internal rifts and leadership crisis, limiting their capacity to present coherent alternatives. With no ideological anchor, ambitious politicians often perceive greater security and opportunity within the ruling APC fold. Explains a lot of the defections. I want to thank you all so much for your messages this morning and for letting us be a part of your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.